segment 2 on our relationship video series. There are 3 videos. So we have chosen the topic of relationships because Tracy truly brought forth the contrast in what relationships can bring. And each soul does every day, every moment, truly. Ones show the contrast of Tracy is receiving collective consciousness, known as source energy, Tracy's world, the grand universe, and in Tracy's sort of personal inner world, if you will, she says all good things from above. It's like having a conversation with the heavens. And it is just like that. That is her perception of. Because people will ask, what is collective consciousness? Truly, it is eternal light beings gathering to assist mankind in creating peace on the planet, if you will, or assisting mankind in various subjects, if you will. Understanding that mediumship is a brilliant conduit in which ones can connect. Divine gift, truly. So, Tracy says this is a miracle. How do you move my hands? How do you make facial expressions? So she has moved aside. Relationships. What does the grand heavens, the grand universe say about relationships? We want to talk about intimate relationships. For isn't it the truth that it is just filled with contrast? That life is filled with contrast? The one that brought so much love and joy and contentment and fulfillment and an expansion of love is truly one you dislike this day. Now, we're not saying that anyone should dislike anyone, but isn't it something that as time moves along, people can really change their perceptions of people? Marriage to divorce, good example. We're talking about intimate relationships. What happens? We're not going to get all into the nitpicky of how a relationship breaks down. Everyone seems to know how a relationship breaks down. Some are very devastated when a relationship breaks down, and others are dancing. Yay! Finish with that relationship. It is the purest sense of contrast. The purest sense of contrast. In contrast, instead of thinking of it as an intimate relationship, think of it as contrast being created to allow one to bring forth who one truly is. Now, ones will say, I could have done without that. I did not know she was going to fill in the blank. I did not know he was going to fill in the blank. And now I am divorced. And we don't want to say, and what did you learn in the divorce? Because that would really just be like sandpaper, would it not? But when ones can view it from a higher perspective, watching it like a movie, if you will. So you're watching it like a play, like a movie, and everyone is sort of on stage, in costume, in character, reciting lines, if you will. Isn't it true? Isn't life like that? That ones are really wearing a costume? In the beginning of a relationship, everyone is, just in divine light, in their spotlight of putting their best forth. And then as time rolls around, I don't feel like rehearsing. I do not feel like reciting my lines. I don't feel like standing in the spotlight. You go ahead, and the play changes. So if you could see the world, not just intimate relationships, but see the world in the higher perspective of. See it in the higher perspective of. And isn't it fascinating? If you can take your frustration and create a space of fascination, your world will expand, and so the heartache will decrease. It truly will, because you look at it with a different viewpoint. Isn't it fascinating they did what they did? Isn't that fascinating? Now, we want to be realistic, of course. But isn't it fascinating why people do what they do? Or the ones that you never thought would do it, do it? And isn't it fascinating that one that you never thought you perhaps would be attracted to, you are now married to? Isn't it all fascinating how it works? So, truly, love is the answer. And this is going to sound very repetitive, and we understand that. Love for oneself is the answer. Love for others is the answer. We shared in the last segment, what if every soul could see every other in the light that they are, the truest light that they are, if everyone could see one's inner essence. But as relationships move on, it is like the travel of life. Things get heavy. Experience on top of experience on top of experience. And so in intimate relationships, it truly is an expansion. That is why when ones are in love, it's little hearts and bluebirds and life is so wonderful. It is that grand expansion, the being in love, that expansion of it, love. And then most have discovered the opposite of, and the deep heartache of. There are times when ones come into one's life to share space and time, to create space and time for one to go and search for one grandest self. When ones are in love and the expansion of, and all things complete and wonderful and divine feeling, all things lining up, the steps are light and joyful and all things love. When ones are in that space, it truly opens up a space to feel the greatest sense of love, the greatest sense of love, the purest sense of love. And when things, if you will, if there is a crashing down of the relationship, the demise of the relationship, that's even a greater space to find one's inner love for oneself, because it is in the times that one has been sort of beaten, if you will, meaning feeling hurt, sorrow, less than, all the emotions that come with a separation, if you will, come with a divorce, if you will. And again, some divorce and are very happy to sign the paper, as happy to sign the paper as they were to sign the marriage license. Look at life as the grandest opportunity to bring forth the grandest sense of love for oneself. And we know, ones will say, this is a whole lot of BS, don't waste my time. Is loving oneself a waste of time? Most would think it is. So many place love upon another. And that's where ones it gets really messy, because one is wanting another to provide the happiness. You make me happy. If you do this, I'll be happy. If you do that, I'll be happy. If you don't do this, I'll be happy. So one is always placing, if you will, or it is natural to place the happiness upon someone else's shoulders. And yet, ones do not take the responsibility for themselves to make themselves happy. They are looking for outside people, if you will. They are looking outside themselves. And one of the grandest ways is intimacy, is love relationships. When one can understand of the unconditional love to oneself, and back to video 1, understand that you have no control over another. You cannot place the burden upon another to make you happy, especially if you feel that you do not have time to make yourself happy. It is true. Now, when we say that, we know another can bring the greatest sense of happiness. But one has already opened the space for the happiness. It is just magnified. One can bring the greatest sense of anger, but one has opened the space of anger. Just ponder it. Just ponder it. If ones could see and feel and understand and intuitively know that love is the answer, one would love themselves unconditionally. Start there. If you want intimate relationships to really flourish, place love within oneself. You already hold the love. You want to extend it forth. And ones will say, yes, but I did love. I did give all that love. And all I got was a whole bunch of heartache. What do you mean? I gave them what they were looking for. If you have extended love to another, and they created a space not to accept it, they created a space to throw it in the trash, if you will, live with the knowing that you gave love to the other. And where do ones go wrong with that? Because they feel it wasn't received. They feel that it was thrown in the trash. And then it becomes a responsibility of oneself. Well, if I would have done this, if I would have done that, if I would have, and the other is very quick to blame. Because of you, I'm walking away. Perhaps. But more likely, it is because of the one in where they are in their own consciousness. Just ponder it. Just ponder it. We know this segment or these relationship video series is not the sort of run-of-the-mill series. Even Tracy is sort of taken back by it. Love for oneself is truly the answer. Love for others is truly the answer. Truly. We understand it is a search. We understand it is very difficult to love when you feel the opposite of. We understand heartache. And isn't it the truth that the greatest heartache can provide the grandest stage to find your own love for oneself? Miracles happen when one goes in search to bring forth love in the most horrendous, unloving circumstances. Miracles happen. We're not kidding. Because one has placed down the anger, the resentment, the judgment, the condemnation, and has searched within to bring forth love. It is a vibration. This love goes out before the one, and so truly love is for oneself. And then you can see the world through the eyes of Source. See the world through the eyes of light. See the world through the eyes of love. And nothing looks the same. You would look at the other that has caused the pain, the heartache, the turmoil, the anger, you name it. And you would see divine. You would. When you are at that place, you would only see that you cannot make a baby run. You would only see that one is coming from a place of their own background, their own experience, their own fears, their own hurt, their own anger, their own frustration. It is their own. It is being projected upon, yes, so it always feels like one has brought it forth, but it was there to be brought forth. So if you can focus on bringing forth love through all the layers, then what are you living? You are living in love. And doesn't that allow the grandest relationships of any relationship? If you place love first, if you place love and understanding first, and again, this does not mean you put up with someone poking a sharp stick, causing harm, causing bruises. This is not what we mean. Love for oneself. Love for oneself. Nurture oneself. Nurture oneself. That is the answer to intimate relationships. And the understanding that each soul is coming from a place of what they already know. Really good. Really, really, really good.